Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily. Ronnie Rants alongside TK Tommy Chrysan here on this Sports Shorts Daily edition. Hope everyone's having a good one out there. TK joining us from a busy Tremonti's Meat and Seafood in Baton Rouge. Great hamburgers. We tell you about it all the time. The best hamburgers in town. They have great lunch specials. TK will tell you more about it at the end of the show. I'm coming to you at an undisclosed location presented by the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. LASportshall.com. It's not too late to join us this coming Monday. Temperatures are going to be in the upper 70s. We're going to have a 10 a.m. golf tournament out at U Club this coming Monday morning. Hope you can join us. Individual golfers are welcome. Teams we still have available. So go to LASportshall.com. It's going to be an awesome event. We're going to have past Hall of Famers there, the likes of Kevin Falk and Eddie Kinnison and Dee Dee Bro, Gary Barbaro, and many others. We're also going to have the 2026 Hall of Famers joining us there, like Warren Morris, and we're going to have Todd McClure and others joining us for the golf tournament. We're also going to have some celebs like Antoine Duplantis and Will Harris as well. We'll all be out there. So come join us. It'll be a lot of fun. Great golf course at the University Club with food and drink. You'll get some great swag. Each golfer's going to get a quarter zip pullover with the Hall of Fame logo on it, a sleeve of logoed golf balls as well. So come check us out. Go to lasportshall.com and help support the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. All right, TK. Some news around, of course, the world of sports. Locally, it's almost like a soap opera. What is a soap opera? The whole what went down when and who's to blame. But we know there's a lawsuit right now officially on the books between Brian Kelly against LSU. He wants his $54 million. LSU has bumbled this thing and fumbled this thing, and there's a lot of finger pointing on who's to blame. But it looks like officially at the moment, LSU is standing behind the fact that anybody who makes over $250,000, the Board of Supervisors and the athletic department has to sign off and officially be the ones to fire that individual. Scott Woodward fired that individual without the Board of Supervisors' support or a vote on the books for it. And therefore, basically, LSU saying Scott Woodward acted roguely in this situation, fired him without the proper procedures in place. And so, therefore, he's not fired right now. He's, as far as they're concerned, he's been reassigned. And he's still getting paid, and they want to negotiate a buyout, or I guess they're going to maybe try to get him for cause. What we do know is that Scott Woodward offered $25 million, and he also then later in the day offered $30 million as a one-time settlement, 25 now, 30 over two payments. That was rejected. We know at some point his attorneys, his people countered with, I think, 43 million as a 43 or 44, something like that, as a settlement number, basically giving LSU a $10 million, $11 million discount. LSU rejected that, and now here we are. So all the reports that we heard that a settlement had been reached, LSU was going to try to get them for cause. They settled on a number. We had heard somewhere around 27. That is not true. There is no settlement. In fact, LSU owes them $54 million unless something changes.
Well, a contract's a contract. A lot of people have said that locally and nationally. But I mean, this thing, the optics are bad. Will LSU survive it? Yes, they will. But it's become a little bit laughable when the national pundits start chiming in big time on this. That's attention you don't really want. The whole thing. And then the new president, Roos, says he didn't know Virg Osbury was suspended 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever that was. I mean, it's just not a good look of, that the word that Kelly used when he got hired was alignment, meaning everybody was on the same page from the top of the university down. And it's far from that right now. And it's not a good look. Some people think it'll hurt the chances of getting whomever is the next coach. I don't. I think there's a lot of people that if they have a chance to be the LSU football coach, are going to do that. and figure out the other stuff, or maybe make some demands. The next contract may be twice as thick as the contract, whatever the size the contract is that Brian Kelly has. But it's not a good look. The timing is horrendous in the world of moving forward and getting another coach and staff in here. I mean, it's going to be crazy. It is crazy days at LSU, and I don't know when it's going to end.
Um, I do think at this point, Tommy, the way this thing is going is that it is going to hurt them getting the next coach, and here's why. Because again, it's not going to hurt getting the fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth option coach. It's going to hurt getting the one, two, three, four coach, because coaches are hired to be fired. Right? Everyone is fired except for the 1% that get to ride off in the sunset and retire or leave on their own accord, and so everyone's going to be fired. So that ending and how it happens and what the contract looks like and how I get paid and when I get paid and what other clauses that they can use against me for cause and blah blah blah. That's more important than we realize, than we think about, right? Because everybody's going to be fired except the 1%. And so so I do think at this point it's gotten so messy. It's going to continue to be messy because this doesn't seem like it's something that's going to get settled anytime soon. So it's going to stay in the news cycle as LSU, where either it works its way through the courts or they take, time to work out a settlement or whatever. I'm hearing, again, through good sources and all those things, that there was a booster that that was going to write a big check to cover the majority of this settlement. That booster was tied to Scott Woodward. When Scott Woodward got fired, that check went away. They fired Woodward before they had the money, before they had the check. So, and they didn't realize, I guess, that the guy that was going to help them get rid of Kelly was tied to Woodward. So therefore, when they fired Woodward, so now they have less money than they thought they had for the buyout. And again, I go back to why I said for all year, Brian
Yeah.
Kelly ain't going nowhere. He's not getting fired this year. LSU doesn't have $54 million. And I'm saying it again. LSU doesn't have $54 million, Tommy. Like, this is going to be crippling financially to the Tiger Athletic Foundation and to that athletic department, who's self-sufficient. None of these funds will come from the state. The governor won't be standing there at the Capitol having to write a check for the next coach. LSU will strangle themselves financially internally within the athletic department, Tiger Athletic Foundation, to raise the money to buy them out, whatever the number is. But it's going to cripple this organization financially. LSU's not in the same situation as other people. It just was. This thing was done in haste. This thing was not done with common sense. And let me step by step by step, figure it out. Uh, it was a knee-jerk reaction on a bye week when you didn't have to do that. You had time. You had a couple days to grab your breath. It's not like making Frank Wilson the coach on Sunday was a priority versus Thursday. You know what I mean? Like, and just a disaster. This is in a disaster situation for LSU athletics.
Well, I think it's clear they didn't follow certain steps that they wish they would have followed. And look, Kelly's team of attorneys knows everything you just said. They don't have the money, and there's some hiccups in this whole process, and there's some finger pointing, and there's some legitimate question marks about, well, if this, why that, if this. So, I mean, it's just it's an ugly thing. The optics aren't good. And I agree with you. This is going to cripple LSU for a while. And I think the point you make that I really agree with, it's not going to affect getting that fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth guy on your wish list. But getting the first or second, there could be an effect. And it could be somebody says, well, it might not be the greatest situation down there, as great as the challenge would be, and the fact that, three of the last four LSU coaches won a national championship in football. There is an attraction to the job. It's in the SEC, et cetera, et cetera. But the oil theory only in Louisiana is rearing its head.
Just an embarrassing and awful situation. Like I said, I think it's something that we're going to be hearing about for a while. It's not
Well,
going away. If it was going to go away, it had gone away already. They would have settled it. But I am
well,
so curious to see how this plays out.
and then it's going to recycle. Let's say, what's today, November the 12th. Let's say December the 12th, they hire whomever. Then they're going to, all those stories are going to get rewritten about how, AD, interim AD, not an interim AD, president, governor, everything's going to get recycled again. And LSU will survive it. It's just how do they survive the long term, or I'll say short term, couple of years going forward financially?
The interesting thing, TK, is that the interesting thing in this is that uh, the rush to get rid of Kelly, like without doing the due diligence and looking at all the scenarios and doing it the proper way and looking at uh, the domino effect of, okay, if we do this, we got to do that, whatever. It You're not hiring a coach in November. Yeah, you might be having conversations with some agents or whatever, but in LSU's case, if LSU would have fired its coach December 1, you'd still have a chance to get whoever you want, right? I mean, again, the people we're talking about are not, no one's leaving their team in the middle of the season to come take the LSU job. So they're all going to officially do whatever after the season's over with. So, LSU had a bye week going into Alabama on the road. It wasn't even like, oh, it was a home game. We're worried about the crowd. You had 3 weeks, to worry about the crowd. I just, the haste in which this was done, the I's not being dotted, the T's not being crossed. The when the governor said what he said, nobody going to him and going, hey, governor, hey, listen. The guy who's writing the $25 million check is really good friends with Woodward. He's the one that got him. So, if we want, like, nobody said those things, did those things. It's just wow. It blows my mind. This was handled so poorly.
All right, let
Um,
me ask you this, Ronnie, and almost because it's all over social media, and we know social media is about 80% bullshit. So Nick Saban's name keeps flying up.
it's so bizarre to me.
Now, I'll say this right now, right here. I do not think Nick Saban will be the next LSU coach. Could I be wrong? Certainly, I could be wrong, but I don't think that's happening. Even though there's an online thing that said he's the odds-on favorite or whatever, I just don't see. If somebody told me he was on his way to Lubbock to do game day at Texas Tech, that he was in Baton Rouge Friday night. I mean, that's like the old thing, like, oh, we saw him at the airport before all that stuff could be tracked right now. I don't. Somebody who I think is kind of connected told me Saban was in Baton Rouge Friday night on his way to Lubbock. I don't know whether to believe it or not.
And look. I mean, when you're going from Tuscaloosa to Baton Rouge, you can easily stop off, and maybe even Saban, out of respect to LSU and out of due diligence, and maybe and even if his agent says, "Hey, man, take the meeting. It's going to help us get more money from ESPN." I mean, like, there's a lot of reasons you take a meeting.
Yeah.
You hear LSU. Look, I'm gonna let you do your due diligence. Da, 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 tell me all the things. Yeah, give me the number. Okay, great, thanks. But I mean, the guy is 74 years old, Tommy. Even if you get Saban, this is a Arnsparger 3-year fix. I mean, do we really think he's going to coach it to 80? So even if you get him to say yes, this is Bill Arnsparger all over again. 3 years, and that 3 years, you're hoping he's either developing the next coach or whatever. I guess. It's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. I don't want to be disrespectful and say I wouldn't take Nick Saban at 74 years old, because that's not true. I love the storyline of it. I want to see what would happen. I love, it would, LSU would get all the attention in the world for a year. While the first year he's there as coach, and all the things, and Alabama would be so mad. I'd love all the storylines to it, but at the same time, I mean, didn't we just all see that video of his birthday
Yes.
where this old man, 74 years old, got his noonie blanket over his legs, watching football, and all of a sudden they come in with the little, Costco cake, and everybody kind of, his family singing happy birthday to Paw, and Terry's saying, get your feet down and sit up, and yes, ma'am, like, really, that guy is now going to leave that sofa and every day go to work and grind and 24/7, and it's all about football. And No, come on. No.
Again, I'll say I do not think he will be the next LSU football coach. I'll leave it at that. If I got to eat crow in a month, I'll eat crow.
Look, I mean, that was, so they've got some casinos, some online, casinos that have him as the 2-1 favorite to be the next coach at LSU. I think maybe nationally there might be some people buying into that. Like, oh, there's the story of him saying how he regretted leaving LSU to go to the Dolphins, and maybe it's a time. I don't
Well,
understand at this point in his life when he's got all the money in the world. He's now been enjoying. I mean, when he came to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame last summer, his people around him, his two former like assistant athletic director type people who traveled with him, were with him for the day when he was in Natchitoches for the induction, were like, man, we love this guy. We love the retired Nick Saban. He's so nice. He's so easy to be around when he was such an SOB for all those years before because of the intensity it takes, that he needed to work at to be the greatest. And
well,
to leave that is just, I just can't imagine it.
well, let's connect some dots. They don't have 54 million to give Kelly. How are they going to also
Right.
have 20 million, even if 15 million to pay Saban, 10 million to pay Saban's staff, another 20 million for the NIL collective thing? I mean, there's always a tipping point with money. I don't care, 95% of the time there's always a tipping point, and I believe LSU's at their tipping point of what's going to happen? Does this mean they got to go get a coach? And I'm not going to say a name, but to get the guy from Middle Tennessee to come in here for 3.1 million, and then what does that do? Unless you hit a home run like Signetti at Indiana or some other coaches that were hired not expecting a whole lot and they made great strides, but it's crazy days at LSU. It's a mess, and it's going to get uglier before we move totally past it.
No question. All right, TK, some NFL news. Former New Orleans Saint Jameis Winston officially getting the start this week. He was the third string quarterback for the Giants. Jackson Dart is injured. Russell Wilson has played awful this year when he's been in there. So they're going with Jameis Winston to start this week. Giants fired their coach after 3.5 seasons. And look, take the Giants plus the points this week. I mean, Jameis is going to give them a spark. We've seen this story before, whether it be Cleveland or New Orleans. Like James, I guarantee Jameis has got one good one in him.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's an all or nothing quarterback. He can look like a Hall of Famer going down the field, and then he can make some bad passes and look like a true backup. So that'll be interesting to follow. Your fishing buddy from last summer, right?
That's right.
Jameis Winston, you and Jameis and Gus out on a boat fishing. We might need to refine that video, Ronnie.
Yeah, we'll see. We repost it this week since it's kind of fitting, but no, good luck to him and look, the New Orleans Saints put themselves. They had the worst record in the NFL. They were going to have the first pick overall. They had the tiebreaker over the other team that had one loss. Now they messed up and won last week against Carolina. So now they're in a pool with about 5 teams. We need the Saints to realize who they are, Tommy. There's no value in the New Orleans Saints winning 2 games versus 5 games. There's none.
None.
Only thing they're going to do is hurt themselves in the
Yeah,
draft.
the only thing they can do is move back, take a step backwards,
If,
and
if you're the Saints, this is like the NBA where you don't want to win in the last month of the season. You want to keep your draft situation so you have as many ping pong balls as possible in the lottery. That's where the Saints are. Like, all right, great. We put up a fight. We went 4 and whatever. Okay, so now we have the 7th pick instead of the first or second pick. Like, come on, guys.
yeah, no, I agree.
And
It's
oh, by the way, you get the 7th pick in every round, right? So it's
yeah,
not just the first round; it's every round. So it hurts you. If you have the first pick or second pick in the first or second or third and fourth round. That's like you're having a pick in a round earlier.
yeah,
So
no, I agree. It's
and the Saints need that. They need the help of getting as many drafted players, as many good players through the draft as humanly possible.
okay. You look at what's happening with LSU, the Saints, the Pelicans. The Saints and Pelicans both 2-8, something like that. Maybe it's time to go find a high school playoff game this Friday night. You go to that.
Give us an update on your bet. The
I'm,
Pelicans.
I'm, I'm 6-4. They were getting 8.5 points against Phoenix Monday night. Phoenix won by 30 points. I was in the rocking chair in the third quarter on that one. So, but I have bet tonight Portland minus 8.5 in New Orleans. In New Orleans minus 8.5. I'm 6-4 with 10 bets. It's obviously not the same as the record of the Pelicans because I'm using the points. And so right now I'm up just a hair on that plan, but we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna stick to it.
Got another plan for you, Tommy, to
What we
work
got
in.
here?
Take the total under on UL basketball total for every game they play this year. They are 3-0 in their first three games on the under. UL basketball had their new coach is a former assistant at the University of Houston, where they're known for defense and hustle. Remember, University of Houston's been great the last few years. They had those crazy practices that are very physical and the yelling and the screaming and the tackling. They're like football practices. They showed the videos last year. We got a sneak peek behind the scenes of the Houston practices. Everybody was talking about it online. They have that mentality, right? They're going to get after you defensively. They're going to trap you in the half court, all that kind of stuff. But they only have one or two people that can put the biscuit in the basket. And so they're going to struggle to score. They lost last night to Tulane by 4. Uh, Tulane's 3-0, UL's 1-2. Take the under. The over under was 135 and a half, I believe, yesterday. I think they ended up like with 126 or something. Um, uh, and I live betted Tulane minus 5.5. Tommy, guy makes a 3-point shot at the buzzer to beat me. I ended up pushing because I had the under, and then I had a live bet. I took Tulane with about 5 minutes to go, 6 minutes to go, at minus 5.5. And in the last minute, in the last minute, Tulane threw a ball away, like they're dribbling across half court. They're going to pass the ball to the 90% free throw shooter. With I don't know, they're up 5 or 6 at that point or something. They're going to pass the ball to the 90% free throw shooter. He looks one way, the ball goes the other way. The coach is yelling and screaming, like, what are we doing? Just chest pass right to him in half court. And instead, they go down. UL gets a basket, and then you're chasing the points. So UL is up 7 with 7 seconds to go. Their one kid who can score comes down. He gets stopped. He kicks it to the corner. It's a bad pass. It's at the ankles of one of their bench players who grabs it off the ground, reaches up, shoots the three. The light goes red, swish. I lose the bet because it goes in. Like, unbelievable. Two crazy things had to happen. No, by the way, they missed 2 free throws in the last minute as well, did UL. So, I mean, the Cosmos were against me. I was never winning that bet. They found every kind of way for me to lose that bet.
That's why they call it gambling, not winning. I mean,
That's
you
right.
might win, you might lose.
Right.
it,
Unbelievable.
it makes it fun in a way, I guess. But yeah, it's craziness because sometimes you get lucky and win a bet, like I did earlier in the year with the Pelicans. One of my bets, the other team had two free throws with like zero point 0.1 seconds on the board, and I needed them both to go in, and they did. So I mean, sometimes it goes both ways, but it's crazy how that happens, and it's crazy how many times the wise guys are right on the number.
We will have probably next Friday. So when we come on the air next Friday, week from this coming Friday, we will have the Baton Rouge Rougarou and the Lake Charles Gumbo Gators schedule. The Texas
Okay.
Collegiate League schedule will be out not a week from this Friday. So we're excited about that because once that schedule comes out, that means we can start selling season tickets and all kind of do some specials. Season tickets for the Baton Rouge Rougarou and the Lake Charles Gumbo Gators will go on sale Black Friday. So we're going to have a Black Friday sale, a little special for you. So we're excited about that. So definitely get ready. If you're going to get some season tickets, you want to do it on Black Friday and Black Friday weekend because we'll have some special offers for you that are going to make it worth your while.
All right, sounds great. Looking forward to that.
All right,
Looking
tell us
forward
about
to.
Tremonti's, TK.
All right, well, Tremonti's got it going today. They got the hamburger special for lunch. That's a every Wednesday thing. But here's the big thing: Thanksgiving's coming up quickly, right? A couple of weeks from tomorrow. Order online, Tremonti's.com. Fried, smoked, rotisserie turkey, all the side dishes, your desserts. You can do it right there online at Tremontes.com. You can certainly stop by here and see all the wine, the liquor, and the meat, the seafood, and the side dishes. 20 different flavors of sausage. It's all here at Tremontes on Jefferson Highway in Baton Rouge. Again, if you're going to tailgate this week for the Arkansas game, they get everything you need. Small party, big party, Tremontes Meat and Seafood. We'll be back Friday morning with another episode of Sports Yours Daily. Like and share this show. We appreciate it. Talk to you again